pause for a moment and think about this. Every word you've ever spoken has built the world you live in right now. Words are not sounds, they are seeds. And every seed carries the power to create or to destroy. Some people talk themselves out of destiny while others speak their way into greatness. The difference is not intelligence, it's understanding the power behind what you say. So today, I want to teach you not just how to speak, but how to speak smartly, with intention, with clarity, and with purpose. Because your voice was never meant to echo, it was meant to command. Your mouth reveals the level of your mind. You can tell where a person is in life by simply listening to how they speak. Because speech is not random, it's the fruit of thought. The words that flow from your lips are the evidence of what dominates your inner world. You don't speak by accident, you speak by reflection. And reflection always exposes what's within. When a wise person speaks, wisdom is heard, not noise. When a foolish person speaks, confusion is released, not clarity. That's why your words are more than communication. They are a mirror of your mind. Your vocabulary, your tone, your attitude, all of it reveals your level of mental discipline. The more you grow in understanding, the more your speech matures. The less you grow in knowledge, the more your words become careless, empty, and destructive. Your mouth was never designed to broadcast ignorance. It was created to release insight, to speak with precision, to shape environments with wisdom. But here's the danger. Many people open their mouths before they engage their minds. They speak emotionally, not intelligently. They react, not respond. And in doing so, they reveal that their thoughts are shallow, unguarded, untrained. That's why so many conversations lead to conflict, not because the topic is wrong, but because the mind behind the mouth is unprepared. Have you ever noticed that people who think deeply often speak slowly? They pause, they reflect, they choose their words carefully. Why? Because they understand that every word is a seed, and every seed will bear fruit. The words you plant today will grow into the atmosphere you live in tomorrow. So if your life is full of confusion, check your conversation. If your relationships are filled with tension, check your tone. If your opportunities keep closing, check your speech, because words can either open doors or shut them forever. Listen carefully. Your language announces your level. Before you even finish a sentence, people already know what kind of thinker you are. That's why the wisest people don't try to sound impressive. They try to sound clear. They don't use words to decorate, they use words to direct. They understand that effective speech doesn't come from having a loud voice, but from having a trained mind. You can't speak smarter until you think smarter. You can't speak higher until your mind is elevated. The problem isn't your tongue, it's your thoughts. So the question is, what have you been feeding your mind? What ideas have you allowed to shape your language? Because eventually, your words will betray your thoughts. You can change your speech, but until you renew your mind, your language will always expose you. Your mouth can only express what your mind has embraced. So if you want to rise in influence, in clarity, in power, begin by renewing your thinking. Guard your words, because they reveal your world. And when you understand that truth, you begin to see that speaking smartly isn't about talking more, it's about thinking better. Because the next level of your life will not come through noise. It will come through wisdom. Speak from wisdom, not from emotion. Pause for a moment and think about this. How many times have you seen someone say something in anger and immediately regret it the moment the words leave their mouth? Why does that happen? Because emotion is powerful, but untrained, it is dangerous. Words spoken in the heat of feeling rarely reflect truth. They reflect reaction. And reaction is never a strategy. It is a trap. Emotion can be a tool, but it is not the foundation of intelligent speech. A mind controlled by wisdom will guide your words, but a mind ruled by emotion will betray you every time. Consider this: if your feelings dictate your words, then your words will betray your purpose. You may think you are expressing yourself, but in reality, you are exposing the weakness of your thinking. That is why some people are brilliant in thought, but destructive in speech. Their emotions hijack their mind, and their words become weapons against their own destiny. Think carefully. When you speak from emotion, you become unpredictable. Your words may hurt, confuse, or mislead, not because you intended harm, but because you were not disciplined. The wisest speakers are not those who feel the most, but those who think the most. They understand that every conversation is an opportunity to create influence, to inspire, to lead. And influence is not built on passion alone. It is built on clarity, on insight, on precision. Have you noticed how leaders who think before they speak command respect? They pause, they weigh, they consider the impact of every word. Why? Because they know that once words are released, they cannot be recalled. Words spoken from emotion are like arrows shot without aim. They may travel far, but they rarely hit the target. Wise speech, however, is like a bow guided by experience and foresight. It strikes with purpose, it resonates with understanding, and it builds the world it touches. The danger is not in feeling, but in allowing feeling to control your mouth. Too often, people confuse volume with authority, anger with power, and passion with intelligence. But wisdom is quiet. Wisdom is calculated. Wisdom listens more than it speaks. And wisdom knows that the most influential words are those that are carefully chosen, not carelessly released. You see, when you speak from wisdom, you elevate yourself above circumstance. You control the conversation rather than being controlled by it. You influence, you inspire, and you lead because your words reflect the strength of your mind, not the weakness of your mood. And here's the truth that many never realize: the world doesn't need more passionate voices, it needs more disciplined minds. And when your mind is disciplined, your words will never betray your purpose again. So, the question is, will you allow your emotions to dictate your words? Or will you master the art of speaking with wisdom? Because the next point is not about what you think or feel. It's about the power your words have to shape your reality. Every word you speak builds or breaks your future. Yes, every single word. You may not see it immediately, but the truth is, words are not just sounds. They are forces. They carry power. They influence, they shape, they determine outcomes. Have you ever spoken something into existence, a dream, a goal, a declaration, and watched it come to life? That is the principle at work. Words are not casual. They are instruments of creation. And like all instruments, they require skill, discipline, and understanding. Think about this. People often underestimate the impact of what they say. A careless comment, a rushed statement, a word spoken without thought can dismantle relationships, destroy opportunities, and even sabotage your own progress. Why? Because words are seeds. Seeds grow. And if you plant weeds, don't be surprised when weeds grow. If you speak doubt, fear, or negativity, you are setting a path for failure, even if your intentions are good. But when you speak vision, hope, wisdom, and truth, you are laying the foundation for success, not just for yourself, but for everyone your words touch. Do you see the responsibility in this? Your mouth is not neutral territory. It is either building or breaking. Every conversation, every interaction, every thought turned into speech is shaping the architecture of your life. Yet, most people speak as if words are disposable. They laugh at insults, they ignore criticism, they gossip without thought, but the effects are real, they are lasting, and often irreversible. Here's a question: are your words creating life, or are they creating chaos? Are your declarations aligning with your destiny, or are they betraying it? Wise people understand that the most powerful statements are not the loudest. They are intentional, they are precise, they are strategic. They don't merely fill the air. They influence minds, open doors, and inspire action. Consider this: every great achievement, every life transformed, every society changed has been preceded by words, not actions alone, words first. Words are the blueprint. Before a building exists, there is a plan. Before a movement grows, there is a message. Before success is realized, there is declaration. And the opposite is true as well. Neglect your words, and your future suffers. Fail to guard your speech, and you invite destruction. So what is the measure of your words? Are they lifting you higher, or are they weighing you down? Are you conscious of the seeds you plant every time you speak? Because it is not enough to think good thoughts. Thoughts must be translated into words to become real. And the world will judge you not by what you think, but by what you say. And here is the challenge most people never overcome. Mastering your speech requires awareness, practice, and control. You cannot allow impulses, habits, or careless repetition to dictate your language. You must take command, because the next truth you need to understand is even more powerful. When you master your mouth, you don't just influence others, you influence your own destiny. When you master your mouth, you master your life. Listen carefully, your words are not just expressions of thought, they are declarations of destiny. Every syllable, every phrase, every conversation you engage in is either taking you closer to your purpose or pulling you away from it. Too many people underestimate this truth. They believe that what they say is insignificant, that words are harmless, that speaking is just talking. But that is a dangerous misconception, because your mouth is not a toy. It is a tool of power, influence, and authority. Consider this: leaders, great innovators, visionaries, and change makers all understood one simple principle. Mastery over the mind is reflected in mastery over the mouth. Think about it. Every major achievement begins in thought, yes, but thought must find expression through words. If your mouth is uncontrolled, your thoughts are trapped. If your words are careless, your ideas are wasted. You can have a brilliant mind, a profound vision, but if you cannot express it with clarity, precision, and authority, your life will remain limited. Now, look around you. How many people speak endlessly, yet accomplish little? Why? Because they have not learned the discipline of mastery. They speak without thinking, react without reflection, and respond without purpose. Their words scatter like the wind, leaving no mark, no direction, no result. But mastery over your mouth changes everything. When you learn to control your words, you gain control over influence. You gain control over perception. You gain control over the way people respond to you, and ultimately, the way life responds to you. Here's the critical insight. Mastery over your mouth is not about speaking more, it's about speaking wisely. It is not about impressing others, it is about expressing truth. It is not about dominating conversations, it is about directing outcomes. Every word you release should be intentional, deliberate, and purposeful, because your life is a reflection of the conversations you have daily. Speak without control, and chaos dominates. Speak with mastery, and life begins to bend in your favor. Do you see the responsibility? Your words define your influence, and influence defines your life. If you want to elevate, you must first elevate your speech. If you want to inspire, you must first inspire with your words. If you want to lead, you must first lead with clarity and authority. Mastery over your mouth is not optional, it is essential. And it begins with awareness, knowing that every conversation, every sentence, every single word carries weight. But there is a deeper principle most people never grasp. Mastery over your mouth also demands mastery over your emotions, your impulses, and your thoughts. You cannot control your speech if your mind is chaotic. You cannot influence others if your own life is ungoverned. That is why the next step is so critical, because the next level of speaking smartly is understanding the power of intelligent speech to turn thoughts into influence. And when you grasp this, you will realize that your words do more than communicate, they command the world around you. The power of intelligent speech is not just in talking, it is in turning thoughts into influence. Pause for a moment and consider this. You have ideas, visions, insights, dreams inside your mind. Brilliant, powerful, transformative thoughts. But if they never find expression, they remain trapped. They remain invisible. The world cannot respond to what it cannot hear. That is why intelligence alone is not enough. Knowledge is useless if it cannot be communicated. And influence is built on the bridge between thought and speech. Every word you speak carries energy. Every phrase you craft carries potential. When you speak intelligently, you are not merely participating in conversation, you are shaping perceptions, creating opportunities, and inspiring action. Think about it. Leaders, innovators, pioneers, and change makers do not rely on volume or emotion alone. They rely on precision, clarity, and purpose. They have learned the secret that words are instruments of influence, and every sentence can either build a kingdom or destroy a reputation. Have you ever wondered why some people speak and nothing happens, while others speak and the world listens? It is not luck. It is the mastery of intelligent speech. The ability to take complex ideas, refine them, articulate them clearly, and release them with authority. That is influence. That is power. When your thoughts are transformed into articulate, compelling words, people don't just hear you, they feel you. They follow you. They are moved by you. That is the essence of speaking smartly. But here is the challenge. So many people confuse talking a lot with speaking intelligently. They believe that volume equals value and emotion equals authority. Nothing could be further from the truth. Intelligent speech requires discipline. It requires self-control. It requires awareness of your audience, your context, and the impact of every word. Every word is a seed, and seeds grow according to the environment they are planted in. If you want influence, you must plant seeds that carry authority, clarity, and purpose. Otherwise, you will reap confusion, misunderstanding, and missed opportunity. Listen carefully. Your words have the power to shape reality. You can inspire movements, create opportunities, and open doors simply by the way you communicate. But influence is never accidental. It is intentional. It is deliberate. It requires that you master not just your knowledge, but your delivery, your tone, your choice of words, and your timing. Intelligent speech turns ideas into action. It transforms thinking into leadership. It converts vision into reality. And here is the truth. Most people never grasp. Influence begins the moment you decide to control your language. It begins when you stop reacting impulsively, when you stop speaking carelessly, and when you start speaking deliberately. Because the next principle is even more critical. Because when you understand that your voice was designed to command, not to complain, you will realize that intelligent speech is the tool that will unlock your authority, elevate your influence, and determine the legacy you leave behind. Your voice was designed to command, not to complain. Think about that for a moment. So often, people use their words to vent frustration, to express dissatisfaction, to highlight problems, but their speech never creates solutions. Complaining does not change reality. It only reinforces it. Every time you complain, you give power to the very circumstances you wish were different. But when you speak with authority, clarity, and purpose, your words become instruments of change. They do not just describe the world, they shape it. Consider this: your words are your first line of influence. Before action, before strategy, before movement, there is speech. And the moment you speak with intention, people begin to respond. Your voice communicates not only what you think, but who you are. Are you someone who reacts helplessly to life's challenges? Or are you someone who commands situations into alignment with vision and principle? The difference lies not in strength, not in position, but in mastery of the mouth. Many people fail to realize that speaking smartly is not about having a loud voice, it's about having a deliberate voice. A voice that reflects your purpose, a voice that inspires, that motivates, that moves others to action. Your tongue is not a tool for venting. It is a tool for creating, for guiding, for commanding outcomes. When you understand this, you stop speaking to impress people, and you begin speaking to influence reality. Every leader, every innovator, every visionary understood one fundamental truth. Your mouth can either elevate you or enslave you. Words can open doors that wealth cannot buy, relationships cannot provide, and intelligence alone cannot unlock. But the key is discipline. You must guard your tongue, measure your words, and speak with intention, because the careless tongue can destroy a reputation faster than any enemy can. The controlled tongue can build a legacy that lasts for generations. Ask yourself, when you speak, are you shaping destiny or wasting opportunity? Are your words lifting people, elevating ideas, and creating solutions? Or are they filling the air with noise, draining energy, and exposing weakness? The moment you recognize that your voice was designed to command, you begin to speak differently. You pause before responding. You weigh the impact of your words. You use your voice to guide, to teach, and to influence. And here is the most powerful truth. Your voice is a reflection of your mind, and your mind is the commander of your destiny. When you master your speech, you not only communicate, you lead, you influence, you inspire, you create. So, the choice is clear. Stop using your words to complain about the world and start using them to shape the world. Speak with authority. Speak with clarity. Speak with purpose. Speak to build, not to destroy. Speak to elevate, not to diminish. Speak to lead, not to follow. And when you do this, you will discover the true power that has been waiting inside you all along. A voice that commands respect, inspires action, and leaves a legacy that cannot be ignored.